Hi guys, I'm Sam from the Unity of Life and welcome back to my channel. So if you've watched any of the previous videos, you'll know that currently at the moment we're doing a F1 series, which to begin with we are now talking about the Netflix documentary series called Drive to Survive, and I'm taking you through each and every episode of that, regardless if you've seen it or not. It's a really good TV show. Documentary, if you haven't seen any of it, I do highly recommend that. So today we're looking at the second episode of the very first season, which took part in 2018. So please, again, like I keep saying, keep that in mind, because when we're talking about stuff, because I am aware that all this has changed. Things change, I know. I have been keeping up with who's who and who's driving for what team, and there's been a lot of shuffling around going into this 2021 season. So I am aware that things that have happened in there back in 2018 are not quite the same. So I don't really have an awful lot of notes on an awful lot to say on this video, so it might be very, very short. So yeah, we'll just begin and get on with it, shall we? So this episode was focused quite a lot on Carlos Sainz. Might not be pronouncing that right. If I'm butchering anybody's names at anybody's point, I do apologise. Name pronunciation is not my forte. I'm dyslexic and trying to read people's names, especially my own scratchy writing off my notes and pronouncing things, is very difficult for me. Anyway, so at this point Carlos was driving for Reynolds Sport. I know that's not the case now, but back in 2018 that was the case, and we learned a lot about him as an individual, as a person, more than his career and what it was like for him being a driver. We found out that he actually was racing against Fernando, not even going to try and pronounce his surname, who is one of his heroes. And if you've seen the documentary series or you're a huge fan of F1, which I'm assuming you are, if you are here watching me gibber on about it, you'll know who Fernando is, and I don't need to try and pronounce his last name. What we also found out was that Carlos's dad was actually an ex-race car driver, and I think he did rally rather than F1. I'm not 100% sure on that. And, so that meant there was a little bit more pressure on Carlos, because people who may have been fans of his dad and then are following him, they might have some expectations of him from his dad. So Fernando actually at this point was also driving for McLaren. So these are the two sort of teams that we were looking at in this episode, because this episode actually tried to focus on all the drivers. Each episode they tried to focus on somebody different, which is actually quite nice, because I think it would be a bit boring if it was just you followed one person around and not one team. And you try to get a little bit of a sense of every team and where they're coming from. So from what I could gather about this sport, coming from somebody who doesn't really know an awful lot about the sport but is fascinated by it, because the steering wheels, they look rather complicated, and it fascinates me that these drivers don't remember what all the buttons are for, because it's hard enough trying to remember that you have 3 pedals in a car and what your pedals for, and trying not to catch the brake with your left foot if you have a right hand drive and you're not in America. So from the sport is pretty much all about winning. That's pretty obvious. I mean, everybody wants to win. That's the whole purpose of being there. You want to be the best driver in the world. You want to be the best person that you possibly can be. That goes without saying. That's like every single sport you come across. You just want to win. So that's a little bit obvious, and again, like, everybody wanted to be a world champion because it's their claim to fame if they consider they're the best driver, and it is totally understandable, because it does boost your ego a little bit. It makes you feel really good about yourself, I would have thought. However, there does seem to be a lot of pressure on the teams because, as you are probably aware, not only have we got a drivers' championship, but there is a constructors' championship. So your drivers, when they'll get individual points for themselves, but then you also get so many points for your team as well. Not quite sure how it all works. I'm not gonna lie. I'll just be totally honest with that on that one, because, like I said, it's not something that I sit down and I watch. But I do get interested and get really frustrated with things because I like to keep up to date and see who's winning and things. So I can't read my writing. Sorry, bear with. So up until recently, there's been a lot of fans that go to these sporting events, especially Formula 1, and you would always see the drivers signing autographs and things, but obviously that changed, and it's only in certain countries now that they do have spectators, but they don't have as many spectators as they did once upon a time ago. So you do see a lot in this 2018 one. In this second episode, you did see a lot of the fans, a lot of the crowd, and a lot of them screaming and chanting these drivers' names and signing off. They were signing things for them. We also found out that, again, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that every driver sort of has they're not quite like an agent, but they're like an agent in a way. Like, it's somebody that they talk to when they're changing their contracts. This person will follow the driver around with any team that they go to. They sort of work for the team. They're sort of like an advisor. They try to help them, and they also seem to have like personal coaches and physical training people that sort of go with them as well, that will work for the team and for the driver. And Carlos is, I want to say manager, but I don't think that's quite right. Apparently was also his cousin. So they've obviously, it's important to have a very good relationship, and if you're related, you know a lot about each other and where you're coming from, so hopefully he could help him make the best decisions in his racing career, which he's had to make quite a few over the last couple of seasons, which, like, we will get into in later episodes. And of course, like I said, if you're a fan, you're already going to know all this. So yeah, like I said before, I think that there's a lot of pressure of being related to an ex-driver because everybody's got these expectations, and they could have really high expectations. If his dad was a really good driver, then they might expect that from him, because they might expect his dad to be his coach, to be his mentor, teaching him all these things. So there's that downside to being related to somebody like that. However, on the flip side, you get free advice. You don't have to like pay for it, and if you've got any worries or whatever, they can talk to you about their experiences, and so you do have positives and downsides of being related to a ex-race driver, if you are one. So there's another thing that they've said, that it can be quite lonely on the track, because even though you have like a huge team behind you, when you have a teammate, you're ultimately racing against your teammates, even though you're both wanting to get to the podium, so your team can win the Constructors' Championship. Ultimately, you want to be number one. You want to be on that number one spot. So yeah, you don't really want your teammates to be on that number one, because you want to be world champions. So you're pretty much on your own on the racetracks. Some of them said so they feel like it's pretty lonely, because it is literally just them. And apparently, to succeed in this sport, you really have to be really competitive, which I would say is, again, it's like any sport, you want to have that competitive nature, because you want to win. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm quite competitive when it comes to like video games and stuff. Only on games that I know that I can win and I've practiced on. But yeah, I get the feeling of being very competitive, because you want to win, you want to succeed, you want to be the complete and utter best. I've also noticed that, like, in every other team, on any other sport, there's a lot of smack talk. because your team, all these other teams, they're your rivals, you're against them, you want to be better than them, you want to be the best team out there, right? So there is a bit of tit for tat, shall we say, amongst the teams, and some of the times different teams will work together to take down another team. Later on in the series, you do see some of the teams coming together to go and talk to the officials that are all in charge of the sport and the rule book, because another team's done something that they don't agree with, to get those results. So, talking to the FIA, I believe they're called. Again, don't quote me on that, not 100% sure, because I don't know an awful lot about any of this. So that's all I have pretty much on my notes for that second episode. Like I said, I didn't really have a lot. Some episodes spoke more to me than others, so I've got a few more notes on other episodes and less on some. But what I have noticed, this is now our 4th video on YouTube. I had to think about that one, and I know it's still very, very early days, so I've not got many subscribers and I'm not getting many views, but I do seem to be getting a few more views than I have subscribers. So if you are sitting down there and you are one of the people that constantly are watching these videos, like I suspect some people are doing, and you haven't subscribed, well, why haven't you subscribed yet? Okay, you know, I would like you to subscribe. I'm trying to fight an uphill battle and trying to fight the injustice in the world, and I really can't do that on my own. So please don't forget, the way that you could help is to comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that like button. I know at least one person keeps hitting that like button, which is fantastic, and I think I know who that is. That's quite possibly my friend, who's very, very biased because she's like my sister to me, and yeah, so she's gonna like them. Even if I'm just talking crap and the video's crap, she's just gonna pick in that thumbs up and be even more supportive than necessary. What I do want to say about the comment section is please feel free to comment, especially if there's any topical conversation that you want me to do or to talk about on this channel. Maybe there's a specific motor racer that you want me to talk about. It doesn't necessarily have to be a driver from F1, and you want me to do a video on that. Feel free to drop any suggestions into the comment section and I will see what I can do. Other than that, you can follow me on all my social medias. So the Unity of Life, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account, and I have my own personal Instagram account and Facebook page that you can follow if you would like to. That would be great, because I would like to see who's actually out there, who's watching, and at some point start mingling and interacting with you guys, because most of the time this is very lonely. Never mind being in F1 and driving on the track and being very lonely, because I'm just sat here talking to a camera, which feels really odd because I am pretty much talking to myself and I'm not getting much of a conversation back from you guys. So just keep that in mind. Okay, that's all I have for today, so I will see you in the next video. Bye.